Annie, it is so good to talk to you. We've tried this a while ago on Facebook Live and it didn't work, but I'm so happy to be here with Annie Auerbach, who is the author of Flex, which is a modern woman's guidebook, and also the founder of a cultural trends business called Starling, and she's got so much wisdom to share. And I've just had a bit of a chat beforehand and I just absolutely love it. So thank you so much, Annie.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. I know we've been wanting to do this for so long, and
Yeah.
now is the time.
Now is the time. I'm a great believer in everything happens at the right time. So Annie, could you tell us a little bit about your book, that potentially where we all currently find ourselves right now? We touched on a few aspects. It'd be great to hear what we can take from this and grow from this, which is something I'm really looking at.
For sure. Okay, so I've written a book which is called Flex, and it's all about reinventing the rules for a smarter, happier life. And it's just an interesting time that we're all going through now, because of course flexibility has gone from an aspiration or a nice to have, and an exception to the rule, really, to suddenly we are going through this massive global experiment in working from home, all of us who are able to, and it's suddenly becoming something that's in practice right now, and we need to develop strategies on how to navigate it all, because for some of us who've been flexible working for a while, like you and I, we kind of have the reflexes and the muscle memory of how to do all of this, and for others it's something very fresh, very new. They miss the camaraderie of the office, they miss the structure, and so now is the time to really work out new ways of working and navigate our way through it all.
Yeah, and I think it's a great time to do it. You know, like yourself, it took us a while to work this out ourselves. So I often talk about, actually, if we can share this wisdom amongst others, it's not like we just kind of fell in to be able to work flexibly. It took me a long time to work out the process and almost detoxify myself from the rhythm that I was in before. Annie, you touched on some really great points in terms of where we find ourselves right now. How would we utilize our energy? We've only got so much energy, and how are we most productive? I talk a lot about flow, but I think you've got some great tips on your understanding yourself much better in terms of work and productivity.
Yeah, so I would say that we've come from a culture which has been driven by presenteeism and long working hours. The UK has some of the longest hours in Europe, working hours in Europe. That culture of bums on seats, and trust is only there if you're actually physically in the office. And now, of course, we're all fragmented into our own homes, into our own places. And for me, it's an opportunity, as you say, to think about different rhythms, because the rhythm was previously very much dictated by the commute, which many of us had long commutes and very tiring and stressful commutes. It was also dictated by broadly the 9 to 5. But now we have the liberty and the freedom to create new rhythms in our lives. And one of the chapters in the book is actually called Flex and the Body. And it's all about understanding your own body and your own circadian rhythms. In other words, whether you are a morning lark and your energy peak comes very early in the day, you naturally wake up early, or a night owl and your energy peak is much later and you want to go to bed later and rise later. And now we have the freedom to really listen to our body and understand where our moments of alertness are, and kind of, if we can, shift the task of the day to suit those moments of alertness. And I caveat all of this with, a lot of us have children at home as well, who we are trying to look after and nurture and educate. And so you don't have the liberty to completely create a new timetable for yourself, because you will get disrupted. But the moment of listening to yourself and understanding what tasks are suited, let's say if you're a lark and you have an energy peak, maybe that's your time to do the exercise, or precious bit of exercise, early on in the day, because that's when you'll feel most energized.
I think that,
and do
sorry, I think that's brilliant, Annie, because for me, a lot of Beyond the School Run is about understanding yourself, getting to know yourself much better, both from work, on all sorts of levels. So this really gives you a great understanding of how to best utilize your energy, so you then wake up the next day and you're energized to be able to focus again the next day. And there's no one in an office environment structuring your day. It's about, we've got this freedom to work this out. I think that's, yeah.
Exactly. And I think, you know, we're in it for the long haul. And so it is quite important that this is sustainable. And we try and work out how we can best make it work over time. And sort of thinking about your energy as something that's sustainable is quite important too.
That's so brilliant. And listening to your body and your intuition, which this whole chapter that you've sort of delved into in so much detail, and Annie's got so many tips on it, is brilliant. We're just touching the surface on it. And Annie, you also talked to me, which I absolutely love, about the female body, which I think is something we really need to understand a lot more about. It's something definitely I'm sort of focused on with Beyond the School Run, and how during this time we can understand this a little bit better and also work with that. And I love this focus, this collective focus on this now, which will reshape things for us and for our girls.
Exactly. So one of the things I talk about in the book is how to flex with your menstrual cycle. And it's honestly something that was fairly new to me. I'm Gen X, I'm 42 years old. And the way that I dealt with periods was very much a kind of carry on, pop a new pen, get on with it, keep on moving. And I barely knew when it would happen. It would always catch me by surprise. And when I started to understand the concept of cycle syncing and monitoring your cycle, I realized, and I spoke to some wonderful experts who've really educated me quite a lot in this, I realized that actually you go through 4 phases in your cycle. So your winter, your spring, your summer and your autumn, and each of those phases in the average month or however long your cycle is, has within it a set of biological changes that are happening, so hormone levels, but also that affects your emotions and your mental state as well. And so being able to understand where you are in your cycle helps you understand and explain why you feel the way you do. And also, if you have the liberty, to be able to tweak your schedule in order to coincide with the moments when you have confidence and you are shining and you are, really learning lots of new things and feeling like on fire. If you're able to coincide that with your schedule with things that are maybe more public facing or require that confidence and oomph, then fantastic.
I absolutely love that, because in order for women to feel fully empowered, to understand this cycle, and like you say, is, I was thinking about the garden earlier, and I was thinking how one moment one flower blossoms, and then there's another one, and actually this is so relevant for women. You go through this cycle, and one minute you're feeling very confident and ready to go out, and there's other times where you need to go inward a little bit, and this is about understanding ourselves so well. And I'm such a breath of fresh air. I know there's a lot of people on Instagram, talking about this now, but this is such important information, I think, for us to start connecting with. Annie, it's so brilliant. Have you got is there anything last, there's so much I think I could share from Annie. Is there any last few suggestions or just tips or thoughts just to share with our community at this stage? We've got so much more, and Annie's got so much in her book.
Sure. Well, I would just say, I think that it's worth emphasizing that these are exceptional times. They are odd times that we're going through, and they are fraught. And we can, I think we just need to give ourselves a break a little bit and work through it and go that as much as we can try and make plans, and we can try and structure the day and try and, in a way, focus on productivity. I wouldn't want to say that is the be all and end all right now. The be all and end all is really feeling safe and secure, feeling part of a community, looking out for other people, staying at home, making sure your kids and your loved ones are okay, and giving yourself a break, essentially. That's what I would say at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. And actually, the one thing I remember parenting really taught me was true flexibility, so that you can move. So this is really ultimately us being able to be fully flexible again in many ways. But I absolutely agree, being kind to ourselves is key. Annie, you've got so much to share. Thank you so much for sharing just a tiny bit of it with us today. And Annie's book Flex is available on Amazon and various other spots, and there it is. So much wisdom. And thank you for opening up so many important subjects for us ladies and their mums and their daughters going ahead, and everyone. Thank you so much, Annie. We'll connect again soon. Thank you.